Welcome. This video is a list of 20 mistakes you want to absolutely avoid if you want to grow taller. Let's begin. So, how do we grow both during and after puberty? Well, if you're still in puberty, you're growing primarily at your growth plates. New cartilage is laid down at the ends of your long bones, and with high HGH and a lot of sleep, this process occurs faster, and the cartilage there gets ossified into bone. And if this process is repeated enough times, the bone grows longer. Now, if you're out of puberty, like myself, you can focus on correcting postural tilts within your pelvis, spine, and neck. You can maintain fuller spinal discs because spinal discs make up about 10% of your total height. And you can also try and heal cracks or little microfractures from exercise within the bone matrix. And this would be a combination of microfracturing plus banded sleeping at night. Now, with everything optimized and with every tiny little trick in the book, I'm growing at about 1 centimeter per month at the age of 20. I have bought a stadiometer, one of those height measuring devices, and I will show results within the next 2 to 3 months. Now, let's begin by talking about the main idea here. Full optimization, it's hard, but it's not impossible. So that's why I've created this list of 20 don'ts. Additionally, avoiding something is usually faster and cheaper than actually going out and doing something like a 2-hour exercise routine or taking a list of 30 different supplements. Now, note that if you follow general advice, such as, just get good sleep or just exercise 30 minutes a day, then you're just going to get average results. You need to be meticulous, you need to be intentional, and you need to have everything optimized. Now, try and keep the promises that you make to yourself and stick to a routine because character determines results. Now, some don'ts during puberty. We want to keep our growth plates open for as long as possible, and this will maximize our time growing. I really wish I knew this kind of stuff when I was younger, but right now I'm trying my best with post-puberty methods. Now, what closes growth plates really quickly is high estrogen. So you want to decrease the body's estrogen or the ability to use estrogen as much as possible. I will talk about estrogenics in just a moment, but let's focus on things such as Accutane, steroids, and body fat percentage first. So Accutane, to clear up your skin, is something that will mature those chondrocytes, specifically the type X cartilage cells in your growth plates, a lot faster, and that will close your growth plates faster. So Accutane at a high or even standard dosage can close your growth plates faster. A similar thing occurs with injecting testosterone or anabolic steroids. You basically run through your stem cells really quickly, and once you've kind of expired that supply of stem cells, you no longer have the ability to grow at your growth plates. Being obese and overweight, number 3 on this list, specifically having a high body fat percentage, will lead to higher estrogen production, and high estrogen speeds up growth plate closure. Next, don't take tamoxifen or aromatase inhibitors, AI. These sacrifice health for height. If you have to, or if you want to do these, do them with a doctor's supervision. Otherwise, you can cook your blood work, you can cook your organs. 5, don't stunt your growth by smoking, drinking, taking drugs, or having a poor diet with poor nutrition. Now, let's explain why in detail for each one of these. Smoking is associated with higher intake of nicotine, which lessens your HGH production, right? You need HGH to grow while you're still in puberty. It'll promote less blood flow, so the nutrients that your body needs can't get to where they need to go within the body. And cortisol, which is a growth inhibitor, is raised because of higher levels of nicotine, and cortisol is a growth inhibitor. Drinking will hit your liver, and your liver is responsible for creating the majority of your IGF-1. A lot of people are familiar with the term IGF-1, right? Insulin-like growth factor 1, which is primarily responsible for bone growth while you're still in puberty. And if your liver's filtering out the toxins within the alcohol, it won't be able to focus on creating IGF-1 at optimal levels for your height growth. Next, nutrition. This one's fairly obvious. If you don't have calcium and phosphorus, you can't create bone. If you don't have collagen, you can't create cartilage. And hormones, such as IGF-1, HGH, are primarily composed of amino acids, so you want a high bioavailability of all of these things. Next, don'ts after puberty. 1, don't go easy on your workouts and expect results. We want to create as many microfractures as possible, within reason, of course. And we also want to generate a lot of body heat because this is associated with HGH production, which will help us heal those microfractures faster. Now, mechanical loading or lifting should be done every single day, ideally, and this promotes osteoactivity. Osteoblast, osteoclast, these are the bone cells that lay down new bone or take away old bone. And this will increase your bone turnover rate, right? We cycle through bone faster. And if we can place that force of banded sleeping every single night on our bones, or even lessen the tension on our bones just by stretching, then we can reform the bone to be longer. This occurs for cartilage as well. One little last tidbit is to avoid heavy squats and deadlifts, as well as shoulder presses and shrugs. These will compress the spine and potentially herniate your discs. 2, don't sleep less than 7 hours a night. If you don't give your body enough time to heal, then creating those microfractures will actually work against you and make you shorter, because you're essentially taking away bone faster than you can replace it or reform it. 3, don't consume a narrow diet. This one's fairly obvious. You need a high bioavailability of aminos, minerals, vitamins, and proteins. I cover all of these in my supplement video because these are responsible for bone growth and repair, as well as hormone production. Additionally, low calcium and vitamin D will lead to low bone mineral density, and this will work against you if you're creating a lot of microfractures. 4, don't burn out by doing everything every single day. Take rest days and place little reminders on your wall in order to keep yourself motivated and pushing forward. Remember, consistency is key and character determines your results. 5, don't be closed off to new ideas. Science is very rarely 100% correct, and we cycle through scientific facts like they're nothing. I think the half-life for a scientific fact is about 7 years. Facts just get cycled through and we learn something new. 50 years ago, DMT was heavily used within cleaning agents. It was everywhere. People would clean their houses, their toilets, everything with it. Turns out it's a highly toxic substance and it's now banned. Same thing goes with lead paint and all sorts of weird pharmaceuticals. We're learning new things every single day, so don't discount new ideas. A lot of things that we're learning or know are simply lies or just aren't the full truth. So don't fully discount stretching, spinal decompression, and banded sleeping unless you've tried it for yourself. Now, let's get into estrogenics. This is a topic that I'm pretty passionate about because I care about testosterone as well as growing optimally. And estrogenics essentially mimic estrogen within the body. If your body has a high estrogenic content, then you essentially have high estrogen. Now, what does estrogen do? If you're still in puberty, it causes a faster maturation of the chondrocytes, your cartilage cells, specifically type X, at your growth plates, and once those cells mature, then your growth plates are closed. Now, it can also mess with your hormones, which will set you back at any age of your height growth journey, even after puberty. So try to avoid these at all costs, not to mention their terrible impact on your ratio of estrogen to testosterone. Now, where do they come from? They're primarily in microplastics, impure tap water, and hyper-processed foods. Let's go over the specifics right now. So 1, try not to use plastics as much as possible because heat and time will leach chemicals into your body. This goes for clothes that you wear 20 plus hours a day, your bed sheets that you're in contact with for at least 8 hours a night, a wooden toilet seats where you're sitting for at least 30 minutes a day, and even chairs where we spend at least 5 hours a day. All of these things we're in contact with, so we spend a lot of time there, and our body heat helps leach those chemicals into our body. 2, don't drink from tap. Try to filter your water as much as possible because trace amounts of birth control, BPA, bisphenol A, and pesticides, human waste, this kind of stuff can't be filtered out, and they're highly estrogenic. So tap water is usually really bad for you. 3, don't eat processed inorganic foods. Inorganic just means they use a lot of pesticides, and processed foods usually contain a lot of seed oils, which contain phytoestrogens, right? Estrogen is quite literally in the word, and phyto just means from plants. These are primarily your soy, your canola, your grapeseed oil, and the list continues down here. 4, don't use cheap products such as shampoos, hair products, makeup, and skincare products, because if you're not paying a fair price for it, you're most likely paying for it with your health. Now, this will include your benzos, your parabens, phthalates, BPA and BPS, something called fragrance, which is a word used to disguise the actual ingredients, right? They don't want you to know what's in there, as well as sulfates and something called PAH. Lastly, don't touch BPA and BPS, highly estrogenic, but it's also linked to cancer, obesity, which is another source of estrogen, as well as reproductive disorders. The main ones to be careful about are thermal receipt paper. That shiny side has a lot of BPA and BPS, as well as canned foods. I used to eat a lot of canned foods, but I completely avoid them now. Also, some sports bottles, which are not BPA free, or even if they do say BPA free, still contain something called BPS, as well as children's toys and polycarbonate, all contain BPA or BPS or both. Now, this is the last little bit of the list, the other category. Don't rely solely on supplements. Growing taller should be a lifestyle. It shouldn't be like a 5-second pop some pills and you're done with it and you'll see results. It's not quite like that. You need to optimize your diet, your exercise, your sleep, your hormones, everything pretty much. 2, don't take melatonin every single night. Some people do it for HGH production, right? Deeper, more high quality sleep. But there are no studies that prove that melatonin in the long term is not detrimental to your health. So to be on the safe side, take it intermittently and try to find other ways, more natural ways to fall asleep. 3, don't do heavy compound lifts at the gym. I talked about this earlier, but they can flatten or herniate your discs, which will decrease your height over time. 4, drinking raw milk or eating raw organs from a non-reputable farm is just not a good idea. The bacteria within the milk or the meats can make you sick very, very easily. So you want these items to be tested and the certificates to be in place before you buy it. 5, don't blindly follow advice. This includes stuff from my own videos, right? You should do your own research and then you should test it for yourself because not everything will work for everyone. Now, with that said, thank you for hanging out. Like and sub for more. Peace.